Buonasera a tutti, intanto benvenuti di essere qui in questa prima giornata della conferenza APRE 2020, APRE 2022. Per noi è veramente un impegno complicato, questa tornare a vivere la doppia dimensione della presenza e della distanza. Se ci sarà qualche piccola sbavatura, ma ce l'abbiamo messa veramente tutta per fare una buona conferenza, ma soprattutto per fare in modo di trovarci ancora una volta in presenza con voi. Detto questo, first of all, mi confermate che Joanna è già in collegamento dalla regia? So, okay, Joanna is in. Okay. So let's switch to English. And first of all, good afternoon, Joanna. Thanks a lot to be here with us. Joanna Drake has been already introduced. Joanna Drake is a Deputy Director in DG And welcome, Joanna, and thank you to be here today during this conference, during this opening day of our conference.
It's a pleasure for me.
Okay. So it's not the first time that I spoke with Joanna about our initiative, Young Ambassador. So I had to say she's already aware about some things. We discussed the first time during a conference in Grenoble this year, during the Industrial Technologies Conference, where we were on the stage to present the Horizon Europe Young Ambassador. So what is that and why APRE is dealing with that? You know what is our main mission. You are our members. You know that the main mission of APRE is to support the participation of the Italian to Horizon Europe. Well, to Horizon Europe or the former programs in the past. Now, that is clear for us. This is our main mission. This is our daily activity. But to do that in the frame of Horizon Europe, we cannot forget that one of the main changes, or let's say not changes, but evolution that was from Horizon 2020 to Horizon Europe, was the strong emphasis that the Commission did as far as concerned the engagement of a civil society. That is a novelty, this is a quasi-novelty, because this is not really new. Already in Horizon 2020 there was a lot, but never, at least on my experience, and my experience is very far away in the past from framework programs, since the fourth framework programs, I never saw the Commission so committed to engage. To engage who? Well, not only the applicants, and not only the RNI system, not only the industrial, the academia, the research system, but people who are around that system, the civil society. Now, when we start to deal with this problem, because it's a problem, it's not a simple exercise, we decide to limit our efforts because it was too much general, the project, and we decide to concentrate on young generation. So this is our contribution as APRE to step forward in this idea. What does really mean to engage civil society in Horizon Europe? And that is important for two reasons. First, because it's relevant for the indirect effect that the engagement of society has in this complex system that is the research, is the relation between research and society and so on. But there is another important point. We don't forget our main mission. Our main mission remains to support you in the participation of Horizon Europe. And that means that you should not ignore such a dimension. So an organization like APRE cannot ignore that for doing a good job in respect to your expectation, we had to learn how to engage civil society. And we had to engage you in explaining to you what does it mean that in a project, how a project may benefit from a real engagement. And that's exactly the reason why we start to do that. Because not just because we believe it's important and relevant to do that for the society, for our future, for the new generation that will be the the society of tomorrow that will use the solution that we are going to discuss today. But we are convinced that if we do that job in a right way, we can help you to be much more effective also in your proposition. And the proposition means project. Okay, Joanna, that is my very short introduction. And I would like to step forward already in the discussion. We started 3 years ago to start and to work with the young generation, young people. It's difficult to say. In Italian, we would say con I giovani. The translation is not so easy in English. So let's say young people. But what is relevant that when we started, we didn't know about Ambassador, Horizon Europe Ambassador, or other. We had to work with them. And during 3 years, we are evolved. What is our brand today? The Young Ambassador is a novelty. It's something that we started to deal with this year. And it was done on the previous experience. During the previous last 2 years, we had the honor to have Jean-Éric with us. Today, we have the honor to have you with us. Thanks again. And first, before to give you the floor to have your statement about that, I would like to ask another important contribution that is part of our adventure in this area, that is Luca Solesin from Ashoka. That is the association that is supporting us from the point of view of the young people organization. So this is our front end with this young stuff. So Luca, I would like to pass you the floor for a just very short statement before to give the floor to Joanna to say some things about what we did in these last 6 months about the ambassador, Horizon Europe Young Ambassadors. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Director. Buonasera a tutti e a tutte presenti in sala. Buonasera. Good afternoon to Joanna. Let me share a couple of words of gratitude, first of all, to you and your team, Director, for the partnership that we have, and to Joanna and the Commission to be attentive to the work that we are doing. And a sincere and huge gratitude goes, of course, to the young ambassadors that during these last months, they put a lot of energy and efforts to create an extremely valuable social engagement process. So we met in the context of Gen Z, Generation Changemakers Initiative, that is a national initiative that is co-created with the National Agency for Youth that the Director was already mentioning, in order to promote youth protagonism in the society. Thanks to this program, we selected a cohort of young changemakers, and starting from them, APRE and Ashoka decided to join forces to launch the Horizon Europe Young Ambassador as an innovative platform to support the social engagement processes of Young Horizon Europe through the voices, hearts, minds, and perspective of what we call young agents of change. So we set up a 6-month initiative, and it's really incredible to see how far we reach during this very limited time span. But let me briefly explain the processes and results of this process. So the initiative was divided in 3 main parts. In the first phase, in the first months, we opened a call among the young change makers selected from the Gen Z initiative, and we selected 20 youth from 16 to 35 years old, asking them to become Horizon Europe Young Ambassador. APRE and Ashoka run a summer school for these 20 ambassadors of 2 weeks, where we cover issues of the European agenda, Horizon Europe, its mission, research and innovation, and also how to create social change, and many other topics. So they got a lot of materials, tools, knowledge, in order to start a social engagement initiative. In the phase 2, we gave young people a mandate to innovate and create opportunities for social engagement on their mission they were associated. So from July to September, ambassadors organized so many different initiatives, reaching out to thousands of people. I just want to highlight some of them to show the creativity that has been used. So there were organized up to 10 specific events, conference and roundtables, as well as ambassador participated in partners events in order to bring Horizon Europe missions contents in different settings and platforms. Ambassadors run workshops within schools, run consultation with youth local councils. They also run a mapathon and an hackathon on how open data and open mapping can change cities. They also create networks of practice at the local level, creating social platforms that are here to stay. Moreover, they challenged and innovated the way through which social engagement is traditionally run. And I give you 3 examples. One ambassador created a crowdfunding initiative leading to a podcast on Spotify for the mission cancer. Another one created a TikTok channel to present the mission Ocean, and he generated a virtual debate on the value of Mother Heart. Another ambassador hosted a series of LinkedIn Live to present the mission cities. And many, many other initiatives that led to bringing Horizon Europe missions close to 50,000 people. In the third and last phase, we run a final reflection workshop with the ambassadors to understand the impact that they have generated, as well as the learnings on how and from the social engagement process that has been done. So a delegation of ambassadors are here to present you some of the highlights, recommendation, and discussion topics that we collected during the workshop that we have done, and the highlights and learning that we collected throughout these 6 months of this initiative. So Director Falzetti, back over to you.
Me? Yes, you. Okay, Joanna, you get a very, very fast set of pictures. It's not a well-organized presentation, but we have no time to do that, or otherwise we will do in another occasion. But please, I would like to give you the floor now for a first reaction, for a first set of statement from your point of view. Clearly, we would welcome if you could say something about Horizon Europe, because we are discussing in front of an audience that is interested to listen about that. But again, during this session, at least, we have approaching Horizon Europe from a main perspective that is mainly oriented to the concept of engagement. So please, it's up to you. Thank you again. And please feel informal in this discussion. After your first statement, the 3 representatives from the young will interact with you. So please consider that as informal as it was in Grenoble. The floor is yours. Thank you, Joanna.
Thank you so much, and thank you for this invitation. It is a privilege and an honor for me to be in a live interaction like this happening in Rome with such motivated young people. And congratulations also for the initiative and for what you have achieved so far. I think this is very innovative, and I think it is very, very much needed in the world we are living in. I think engagement is the key word. It is beyond being consulted. It is beyond having a few meetings here and there. It's real engagement. It's getting involved. It's rolling up your sleeves and really wanting to give your share and, adding to the momentum. So well done for that. Well, a few comments from my side and a few maybe updates on the Horizon side. First of all, as I said, I think this initiative is well timed. We are living in a very changing world. We live in a world which is also complex and volatile, and definitely this cannot be denied. If we just mention the global pandemic, which has affected everyone across the globe, and we are now actually seeing some of its knock-on effects, whether on our economies, or whether it's mental health, or whether it is on growth, economic growth, or whether it is on even how politics is seen. If we think about the sad Russian invasion of Ukraine and what's going on in the war over there, just on Europe's doorstep, we hoped that this would never be seen by anyone anywhere in Europe. Thirdly, also the fact that crises seem to be the new normal. And all of these, I would say, would be, really making it safe to say that it has now become really important that we're all very resilient. But resilience doesn't mean sitting on your laurels and doing nothing. Resilience means being prepared. And if you want to be prepared, you need to have also some catalysts, because you need to be prepared to change. You need to be prepared to make a transition. And therefore, this means that research and innovation has to be a really, really important part of the response for these crises and for the need to be resilient and to be able to transition to something a little bit more stable, and to try and guarantee not only the future of the planet, but I would say even more importantly, the future of humanity and the context in which humanity lives, including having enough food, having enough place to live, having enough energy supplies, having safe energy supplies and stable ones, and not having poverty. So what are we doing about this? If research and innovation is really an important part of this response, and I think we can all be proud of it, that the European Union has been historically very much, I would say, intertwined with this intervention logic of having research well-funded, of really taking care of researchers, and also trying to create as many pipelines from research into innovation, into jobs, into the economy as soon as possible. So let me just give you a few examples. And I'm very conscious of the time, and I'll just really stick to the facts. For instance, we have unlocked money to boost industrial decarbonization with around 3 billion euros of front-loaded projects under the Innovation Fund. We have created regulatory incentives for innovative clean energy technologies, ensuring the rollout of these innovations. We have invested in securing and scaling up green energy industry in Europe in key areas such as solar and hydrogen. Additionally, with Horizon Europe, we also continue to invest more broadly into advanced technologies. We have to keep accompanying emerging technologies. Why? Because if we are really going to make the twin transition of digital and green, at the same time, we have to make sure that Europe remains competitive on the global stage, not only on the European stage. We have the edge already, but we can't take that for granted. As I said, we cannot sit on our laurels. We cannot be complacent. A year and a half has passed since the launch of Horizon Europe. It has been quite intense with work programs and with the rollout of the calls, etc. The latest one was the spring amendment, as it is called, which happened on the 10th of May. And there we rolled out missions, the actions for the missions, 5 missions, which harness the 2022 budget. Why? Because these missions couldn't just be hot air of good platitudes, well written and well read out, but they had to be accompanied by implementation plans, the concrete part. The main work program of Horizon Europe 23-24 will have the same structure as the 21-22 work program. It will continue to be based on key strategic orientations, and we expect that impacts which are set out in the strategic plan 21-24, focusing in particular on actions complementing those of the work program 21-22 will be visibly seen. Now, we are expecting to adopt the Horizon Europe main work program 23-24 by the end of November, so very soon. Well, let's say November, December, in order to ensure its effective implementation and to address as much as possible the planning needs of the stakeholders. We work very closely with stakeholders all the time. We have launched the work on the next Horizon Europe strategic plan already. So if you're thinking that, we are not thinking already beyond the 2024 work program, we're already there for the 2025-27. We have launched it during the so-called Research and Innovation Days, which we had at the end of September. And as I said, it sets out strategic orientations, including a description of the impacts that we expect, the areas of international cooperation, and also we described considerations relating to specific issues, for instance, on the integration of social sciences and humanities, and also gender equality across the programs. At the same time, the European Commission, sort of the bigger part of the House, has already started a foresight process which will inform the development of the next strategic plan. And again, here we have to focus on the impacts. You know, we have to already dream about and visualize and flesh out exactly what impacts we want. But we also have to take into account the future disruptions, the future challenges, the opportunities that these bring, and what is our response. Now, what will be the next step? The next step, coming back to the word engagement, which I said at the beginning, is a large public online consultation of research and innovation stakeholders. The consultation will be published in November. It will remain open for 12 weeks. And there will be a dedicated workshop for citizens, which is planned to take place on the 1st of December. And what will we do with the results? Well, we do not just put them in a report and put them to lie in the bottom of a drawer, but we put them immediately into the strategic plan. Never before has the role of science and technology been so important. I think COVID has been one of the good things of COVID is that it has taught us many things, but it has taught us also the role and the effective role that science can play with the formation of policy, but more importantly, to safeguard human health. So, and for quick decisions to be made. Now, for any crisis we are in, policymakers have called upon scientists and innovators to find solutions or to explain to citizens the problems we face. We need science, we need technology to anticipate tomorrow's needs and to find solutions to today's needs. Science, communication, and citizens' engagement at the same time need to converge towards the new generations, and thus are becoming increasingly important and also sensitive. And hence, today's meeting and your initiative obviously dovetail very much into this logic.
Thank you a lot, Joanna. And we will step forward now in a dialogue, a technical communication. It seems that we are experiencing problem with the band. Can I ask you support? Because now we are entering a dialogue between Joanna and the three representatives, and we need to allow a smooth dialogue. So please, can I ask you, if it's not really critical, to disconnect from the current band of the Archivio di Stato, because it seems that as a whole organization, also the band seems suffer from all your connection. So this is not our infrastructure. We have to rely on the infrastructure of the place where we are. So please, you can have a less use of the connection to the local infrastructure data. Clearly, doesn't mean that you cannot use your data. That is another point. So, Joanna, thanks a lot. You have provided a lot of inputs, not only about the situation and, or let's say, the next steps in front of us as far as concerned the Horizon Europe future. You have stressed also how much the dimension of social engagement is part of the 2 days, the 2-day Horizon Europe, and again of the future. So now I would like to give the floor to the three representatives, as it was explained before by Luca. We are not able to bring on the stage clearly all the other ambassadors. So we identified 3 of them. And we have the pleasure to have with us today Pietro Crovari, Maria Valentina Vanceo, and Giovanni Giacomino. As I told you, or better, as Luca told to you, in reality, our ambassador is not dealing with all Horizon Europe at that stage. They are dealing with certain aspect, and this aspect is mission. So our ambassador in the last months was concentrated on the mission dimension of Horizon Europe for a lot of different reasons and very well justified. But I don't want to waste too much time to the discussion. Now we have asked them to provide their experience. They will not report you about what they did. It was done very fast by Luca because there was no reason to provide you information about one experience instead of another. But what we asked to the three representatives was to try to give the feedback in terms of, okay, but what was good? What was wrong in this exercise? What was clearly a best practice that we can use as a reference for future action? And what doesn't work? Or let's say, what are the problems that you experience it when you approach in your multiplication of activity in respect of the engagement or other system? So I look to Serena, I follow the list and the order. So we will start from Pietro Crovari, and after to Maria Valentina and to Giovanni Giacomino. Giovanni. That is just to have some idea what they did. It's just a collection of pictures. I don't want to speak about what is in the backstage, but it's just to give an impression. Now, Joanna, I would ask you to listen now to the three, the two boys and the ladies, and after that try to interact with them, and I will help you to interact and not to stop the discussion if it is needed. So, Pietro, the floor is yours. As you know, few minutes, but please put your face on the stage now.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Pietro Crovari, and I'm here to talk about the innovation that is necessary about language. I want to summarize my contribution in three keywords that are encounter, simplification, and inclusivity. There are three key aspects that we have to pursue if we want to innovate language in communicating Horizon Europe program to general public. First, I said is encounter. Encounter in the sense that we need to meet people. We need to find new ways to engage with people. First, to do that, we need to adopt people's language. So we need to speak their language and not what's typical inside research domain, I would say. And we also have to innovate not only the language, but also the form. So we have to abandon what is textual document, long documents, to create multimedia content, basically videos, posters, pictures, slideshows, things that are compelling to the general public. We cannot pretend that people go to research, but we have to exploit popular channels like Instagram, TikTok, social networks, LinkedIn, YouTube to go to people. We need to reach people in their channels. We cannot pretend that we create our platform and people coming to our platform, basically. And finally, we need to find new ways to reach people. And we live as a researcher, as RI expert, we live in some sort of multimedia bubble, mediatic bubble in which we reach people that are already interested in our topics. We need to find new way to enlarge this bubble. And a very effective way we found with our activities was to join other people events, such that we can contaminate other people that might be interested, but they simply don't know about the existence of Horizon Europe programs. This is a very good strategy in our advice. Second, we will talk about simplification. We said that it's essential to simplify the language. Adopting people language, as we said, we need to abandon technical jargon that is typical of RNI and speaks what is common words for people, trying to use vocabulary as it is used by people and not in science domain, let's say. But beware, because simple doesn't mean being trivial. We need to develop the skill to be able to abstract complex concepts, to be able to give the idea to people of how thing works with respect to how they works in practice, such that we can convey an idea, an abstraction of the concept to people that can grasp and have an intuition on what is being done with inside the program. And finally, we also have to provide background in-depth material that people that might be interested can consult in on her own in a second moment, such that we can reach a wide set of people, the broader possible, and then these people can try to think, can focus, can go in depth in private on these topics. The final word we said is inclusivity. So we need to speak in an inclusive manner. That means adopt a language, as we said, that is inclusive and accessible, especially in abandoning everything, all the words that are typical inside projects, like acronyms, like formulas, like technical names that are not understandable by people, to really speak people's language. So to conclude, I really think that we believe that the importance of going for encounter, for simplification, and for inclusivity to innovate the language in communicating to a broader audience through Horizon Europe program.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Pietro. Quite clear on the time, so thank you. I will keep this on pending, and Joanna, I would like to go the floor to all the three, and after that we can come back on the main question or argument, if you allow me. So, Maria Valentina, the floor is yours, and thank you for going to be with us today. I know it's not a simple day for you, so thanks a lot. I feel very much appreciated. Valentina, please.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm happy to be here today and represent all the Horizon Europe young ambassadors. So I will do a reflection, let's say, on the time, that it's something that we face every day, let's say. So as Horizon Europe young ambassadors are proud of the result that we have achieved through our initiatives, and within our small way and through great dedication, we offered, let's say, ourselves advocates of principles and missions that are tackled by the European Horizon Europe program. So therefore, we have served as catalysts, let's say, around ideas, proposals, and also dreams. And what happened during these 6 months? We went in search of new ways to communicate and to engage our local communities, and try to innovative ways to raise their awareness on the Horizon Europe missions that we care most. And in several local engagement strategies, we experience, let's say, a lot of engagement strategies, and we put them in practice. And we also have the opportunity to explore even more, because we were also guided by Luca and Serena, no? And through our actions, we realized that we generated a lot of shared levels of awareness around the mission issues, but also we collected critical issues that, and via varying, let's say, visions that to all these events or campaigns, workshops, or conventions that we, let's say, activated on the Italian territory. So, but however, we also experienced to collect, let's say, solutions. But this also led us to think that only people who experience territory and face daily challenge do and generate, let's say, change. So, actors, initiatives, effects, dynamics, and change have a common denominator, that it's time. That it's what is my reflections goes on. And I would add to this list also the intergenerational factor, that since all these efforts that have started indeed from us young ambassadors, And so young girls and boys trying to every day to make a change through volunteering, studying, or working. And it has seen us facing shared dynamic with different players from Italian social fabric, from various levels or representatives of older or younger generation, which have their visions and expertise and level of influence gained over the time in the different sectors to which they belong. Also, we know how time it's determinant element also in European projects. Because the impact is measured through time, the impact is measured on people, places, and the measurement of socioeconomic context. We consider us that we are, let's say, kind of social innovators, that the best kind of analysis that we need to hold and we need to use during our, let's say, actions, it's the qualitative one. Because it gives us a chance to observe the changes processes, assess them, but also to adjust them if we still are in time. And therefore, also making an impact requires time, and the concept of change stands behind this word. And so, hence, we, Horizon Europe Young Ambassador, have realized that time has often been a limiting element within our actions, because it takes time to organize, it takes time to engage people, because you cannot force them to listen or to discuss with you or with others, you know. And it took also a considerable amount of time to us to find the right vocabulary to deliver, let's say, our message. And it has not been easy, and we have had no way of measuring the effects that our action had on the communities. Only 6 months has passed, and what we have enabled as processes among with people, we didn't have the chance yet to collect the results, and therefore to bring us today to you. And to explore it together. So we would love if we could continue to commit ourselves to this kind of cause. And because we are young and we have willingness, passions, and energy to generate change in order to live in a, let's say, better society, or just, you know, to feel helpful for all these kind of missions that we like most. And so I don't know if I need to do now my questions or I will have to wait, Director. If not, I thank you very much for the time that you gave me to express myself.
Valentina, so we can address the question all together. You can address the question all together. Again, sorry, apologize. There was some problem, at least here in the conference hall, about the connection with Maria Valentina. I hope that you have got, in any case, the main question raised by her. It's time. But we will come back on this point again. Giovanni, can we close the game with you now?
Okay. Good afternoon or good evening, depend. My name is Giovanni. I come from Turin in the northwest of Italy. Together with other Horizon ambassadors, I carry out the mission of smart cities by organizing an event in Rome for civil society consultation. I would like to add what I think is a very important point that we have achieved with Horizon Europe. In fact, for the creation of effective campaign that can achieve all the objective, it is essential not only to have ambassadors who have experience on social engagement, but also to be able to connect them. The creation of a network with the ambassador is important, and the connection that we have created are also one of the most important results of the campaign. To represent
Giovanni, it seems that we have a serious problem to listen to you here. Yeah, I propose to go. Okay, let's try to exclude the video connection if can help. This is not really polite, but at least we can listen your words.
Oh, do you listen me now?
Yes, now at least yes, but usually the first 2 seconds are fantastic every time. It's the others. So try again.
Okay, do you listen?
Yes.
Better. Okay. when I was arrived in
At the
which
beginning.
part? At the beginning, I have to restart. Okay. Okay, perfect. My name is Giovanni. I come from Turin. I would like to add what I think is a very important point that we have achieved with Horizon Europe Ambassadors mission. It is to create a connection between people that have experience on social engagement, but that we also be able to connect them. The creation of network with the ambassadors is important, and the connection that we have created are also one of the most important results of the campaign. To represent this concept, I will use 3 words: network of network. 3 keywords, very important. We have listened many different times. When we talk about network of networks, we don't just put people in contact. Our goals is to connect existing networks to reach the greatest potential possible. When we create a project, a campaign, or an activity, we must assume that we often do not start from nothing. Someone is likely to have already done something about the topic of our initiative. And it is also possible that there are already realities with their own networks that can help us. This was a merit of the Horizon Europe Ambassador mission, that they put connection, more people from the north to the south, to the west, to the east, different young people with different background, with their personal networks, who have made their knowledge available to the group of all the missions. From those who had more experience in the field of conference to those that maybe have more experience in workshop with school. Are you still listening me? Yes, perfect. In my case, although I am from Turin, I had the opportunity, together with Leonardo, other ambassador from Rome, to organize an activity in Rome, in the capital, with people involved from 10 different regions of Italy. Maybe also 15 regions, but I'm not completely sure about that. We've thus combined 3 networks: my networks, Leonardo's networks, and the Horizon Ambassador networks. But then, thanks to this event, I was able also to get in touch with other people of other missions. I will finish, and I will say that for this region, it is emphasized that at the level of the strategic plan, the random seedings for new mission is important, is fundamental. But there is also a civil reality with many young people who, despite their age, have gained important experience in a field. It is important to exploit what is already there, to analyze the realities that are already dealing with certain issues. We need to take advance from the soil, not only sow new things, but we have to exploit what is already in a field. I think it is very important to think about the importance of social capital. When I talk of social capital, I talk of a political scientist, that is Robert Putnam.
Giovanni, now we have lost you. Okay, Giovanni, can you hear? Just to... Okay. So, in any case, Giovanni was approaching the end of his contribution. So, Joanna, hopefully that you can listen me correctly. You have discovered as much complex is to speak together. Language is a problem. Communication is a problem. Many elements may complicate the discussion.
Okay, I come back.
You come back.
Also,
okay.
connection in this case is a problem. We talk about digital, and in Piedmont, in some place, we have not a good connection still. So I will finish. It's the last point.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Giovanni. I was already step forward. In any case, the message was clear. Joanna, coming back to the problem, we have 3 elements that was placed on the table, and that's the languages, the time, and the networks. As being proposed in a different way, I don't know if you have really got the message behind for a lot of different reasons, including the difficulties to follow the connection. But nevertheless, I would like to ask you if there is any kind of first reaction from you, Joanna, about what you have listened. And after that, I would ask you to the 3-hour young to address, so let's say in a different way, to start from their statements and to transform this statement in a question that can be addressed to the Commission. So, Joanna, is there any first reaction from you? And after that, we will pass to the question around languages, time, and networks connection.
Yes, I do, but the problem is time. I don't have much time because I thought that it would be over by now, but I will just spend a few more minutes just to give some reactions because I need to join another meeting, unfortunately. However, first of all, I need to say a big thank you to Pietro, to Maria Valentina, and to Giovanni for, their very analytical work and analytical comments that they made through their work. And I think this just shows how much the field work and being close to the issue on the ground can actually be sort of translated, if you like, upwards in the work stream of a strategic planning that I had mentioned before, and finally also into the topics and to the work programs that are planned not only in Horizon Europe, but I would say in policy in general. So yes, I would say first I would agree regarding the language statement. First of all, that I think we need to do much more in terms of simplifying language, and not only in Horizon Europe. I'm talking in general, I think. The way that we communicate with the public. Again, I mentioned the COVID example. I don't think we wanted people to become experts in COVID, but I think certain details that needed to be transmitted need to be transmitted correctly. So I don't think we can, on the one hand, be too complicated for people to want to even engage with us. And no, I don't think that people should be asked to go and look into the research papers, but I think there needs to be a better job done for accessibility, for communication purposes, but also for engagement purposes, to actually filter and distill the main results of research portfolios and to pass them on. Now, you might say, are you doing it already? Well, I would say, one, the citizens need to understand the science and need to have trust in science. You do that by engaging with citizens, with civil society. You need, however, to build, also an engagement that works, that actually is enticing people to want to engage with you. If, for instance, we take the example of the 5 missions, you looked at the 5 missions, we have the cancer, we have the soil, we have the ocean mission, we have the cities, we have the climate mission. All of them, if you look at all of them, you can see that all of them have a big component of the work program, of the implementation plan of each mission to actually engage the citizens on the ground. But does it only depend on the Commission to do so? I would say the Commission needs to do so, and it has done it in the actual calls, in the actual mission implementation plans. But I think it also needs to be done top down and bottom up within the member states, by the governments, by the regions, by the localities. But at the same time, you might say, okay, this is the chicken and the egg problem. Who's going to engage first? Is it us with the language and us with the science made simple? Or has it got to be also driven by a proactivity by the national, regional, local, to want to engage their citizens in the first place? And secondly, to want to do something about it at the end of it. Because research is not the end of the road. I mean, of course, there can be research for its own sake, and we all know that sometimes research done today can be useful in 10 years, 20 years, 50 years' time. But at the same time, if we want to have research and science influence policy, we need to have this ongoing engagement. So I think the way that we have done our missions engagement, and we plan to do it more and more. For instance, just to mention cancer, we plan to set up cancer hubs in the member states in order to serve as a reference point and for the member states to organize their activities around that, and to have also the Cancer Mission helping and leveraging the member states, then of course that means a permanent engagement. But I think the investment needs to be from both sides. I think, however, the problem about language and engagement, and whether well, I mean, there are many platforms that we're present on. It's not as if we just issue press releases anymore from the Commission. I think, there are so many things that we're doing with Horizon especially. And I know that there's an exciting project happening right now as I speak, to create an app that would actually give access to, the wider community of users, but also other users who are non-users so far, in order to have updated information. And therefore, that means that a big language effort is going to be made. But I was saying that in terms of communication, it cannot just be from the institutions, from the way we issue calls. That I agree. We need to do much more. But it also has to be, for instance, in the education systems in the member states, the increasing of scientific literacy, getting researchers more open towards social involvement. We cannot just have, the classical, I would say, nearly caricature of the researchers closed up in his lab or her lab. I think it's a question of having much more societal involvement. And that does not depend on the EU either. It depends on, what sort of organic activity there is at the member state level. So I think there's a lot more to be done. And I'm sure that, the researchers, the young researchers and young people can change this going forward. There were many other points which were mentioned, but I just wanted to mention another one regarding the, going for impact. Of course, I mean, the fact that, for instance, we organize ourselves around missions, and the fact that we have also, before we set about planning Horizon Europe, we engaged in participatory processes. In terms of design of the program, in terms of how its implementation, not only did we seek it before, as I mentioned also earlier, there will be the work program. It will be for public consultation in between November, December for about 12 weeks. But also during the implementation of the program, I mention again the citizens' inputs that we'll be seeking for the strategic plan 2025-27, for instance. We have organized already a number of workshops with citizens in the context also of the future of Europe, as you know. We have also organized several citizens' workshops for the citizens panel, and at least 1/3 of the citizens will be were young people between 16 and 25 years old, which I think augurs very well for that. And I think this lies at the heart. But if it stops there, the impact will not be felt. I think it's still a question of engaging further at the local level. If we talk about impact as such, I think the impact needs to be much more, engaged, or rather connected to a pipeline of activities. What do I mean by that? If we want to engage in what we need to solve tomorrow's problem, let's take climate change, or let's take pollution, or let's take biodiversity, or let's take mobility or energy, the topic of the time. If we want to create those very fast pipelines that go between research into innovation, into scaling up, into deployment, into finding the skills, and into getting the impact, as you see, it's a long pipeline. But there needs to be an ecosystem that works, that's already talking to each other. And one of the things we found with the missions, for instance, is that, unless you bring people together at the European level through working parties, for instance, on the research program, and that means the member states who send their representative, let's say, from the Ministry of Research and the Ministry of Health in the case of cancer, unless there was the mission, there wasn't really a reason why these two groups come together. It's quite amazing, isn't it? Do they come together at the national level? That's a question mark. So I think this is one of the ways that we need to change the joined up ways of governance. Does it really happen? Can we just, think about silos and keep on thinking of silos? I don't think this will work. So I think what was also mentioned by Giovanni in terms of the network, the social capital. Yes, this is what we're talking about. We talk about networks, but networks that have objectives, that are actually working on a unified plan, and that actually could give, cohesive and cogent signals even to the investors, to make the right investments in the right region at the right time. It's a long ask, it's a tall ask, but this is what we need. This is what we're talking about. I'm very sorry, but I need to leave you. I can't stay on for more. But I hope I have at least addressed some parts of your observations and questions.
Okay, thanks a lot, because questions, Joanna already addressed the 3 points, or at least certainly 2 of these points that was part of your discussion. So I'm just looking to the time, and considering that some kind of connection may affect now the further discussion, I would say, first of all, your message is quite clear, Joanna, and you have already replied to the main point addressed by our 3 representatives. I have appreciated in particular, the informal mood of your answer, and that is very much appreciated. It's a sort of so it's Maria Valentina was mentioned about passion when she addressed the speech, and it's important for us also to feel passion in Commission reply when we discuss about that, and we got the same feelings from your words. So thanks a lot. The time is running. I hope that our young colleagues may be satisfied in any case by the words from Joanna. Again, no needs now to address the question directly. The answer was already in. I would like to thank you all the participants now. The time is going to the finish, and I would like just to pass 2 messages. And the first is that for us the story is not finished here. It's just one step. And I would like to tell you that I repeat, this is not our main business. We can just give, or let's say, to account on a limited number of efforts from APRE when we address this kind of situation, because we have so many other things. But I can say there is the commitment to not stop here and try to do and to continue with this experience, because we have get a lot of positive feelings, not only results. I was really astonished when I saw the work of the not only our 3 representatives, but all the people, all the other ambassadors. And when I go through the materials, I was really impressed, because they multiply by a factor of 100 of 1,000 what we did with them. When Luca mentioned the summer, he called the summer workshops that we did to prepare the ambassador about what is Horizon, what are the mission, because they were not aware. Well, what we did was, for us, a big effort, but it was just a part of what they have multiplied. So that is exactly what we want to reach through them. So thanks again, Joanna. I hope to see you maybe next year here physically in Rome. Will be much more simple to speak about. Thank you so much.
Goodbye.
Yep. Bye-bye.